Hello friends, and welcome back to Kurt Berglund's Baseball World. I want to encourage you to check out channel membership. All of the information that you need, the link is right there in the description for this video. Follow that link and you can find out all the goodies that you get with channel membership, including discounts on sets of cards, freebies that I send to you every month, and lots of exclusive video content every month for members only. One of the most popular features on my channel has been the APBA Hall of Fame set King of the Hill tournament. And the popularity of that tournament has inspired me to do it again starting very, very soon. A couple of changes, couple of tweaks to the concept of the King of the Hill. First, let me tell you what the King of the Hill is. It's an idea that a team or a set of teams play each other in a sequence, and the team that wins continues to play. The team that loses has to wait in the sequence until their turn comes back around again. And that includes, of course, keeping their starting pitching rotation intact. Well, it's time to create a new King of the Hill tournament. And so what I've done is I've used this whiteboard to create a list of 14 teams that you will see added to this list. And that will be the sequence that we will follow. The last team to be drawn is going to be the King of the Hill in the number 1 spot. Any team that is the King of the Hill hosts the game. They have to be defeated to lose their spot as the home team. So, we are going to be using Fall Classic Baseball Cards and Dice simulation for this King of the Hill tournament. I'm calling it King of the Hill Chapter 2. And I have selected 14 teams from between the years 1950 and 1980 inclusive. And they are going to be randomly drawn and placed on the whiteboard. This will create the sequence of teams. You don't know who these teams are yet, but you'll find out when I draw them, and we'll write them in on this list. Opening day will be a matchup between team number 2 at team number 1, which will start out as the King of the Hill. The winner of that game will host team number 3, and so on down the line. The King of the Hill concept means that when one team reaches 10 wins, it's going to take a while, but when one team reaches 10 wins, they host the World Series against the next winningest team. That's how the World Series will be determined. So it doesn't really matter too much where you are in the first go-round, because you have to get 10 wins and everyone's going to rotate through and eventually get their shot. When you get your shot in King of the Hill, you need to win. If you don't, it can be a long wait until you're up again. And with 14 teams, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a marathon for these clubs. It's going to be exciting. All right. Now let's get to pulling the teams and putting them on the list to see who the first King of the Hill will be. As I pull each team, I'm going to tell you why I selected that team, why they're in this tournament. I'll tell you a little bit about the team, and what you'll realize very quickly is that I have selected 7 American League teams and 7 National League teams for the tournament. 7 of each. Some are from the DH era, some are not. The home team's preference on the DH, whether the home team used the DH in real life, will determine for that particular game whether or not the DH will be used. So for some of these teams without a DH, or that did not have the DH, they're going to have to find one when they play at the DH teams, and so on. All right, here we go with the team that's going to be at the very bottom of the list. 1950 to 1980 will be the seasons that these teams are drawn from. 7 American League and 7 National League teams. Here's Team 14. Team 14 is the 1977 Kansas City Royals. The Royals in 1977 were 102-60. Now, some people would say that this was the best Royals team in history. Now that they have had a World Series champion, I'm not sure that makes too much sense. But was this team better than the 1980 team that went to the World Series? I think there's a case to be made that they are, that this was the best team until the World Series winner that they had just a few years ago. But this is Team 14. Manager is Whitey Herzog. They lost in the American League Championship Series to the New York Yankees, who went on to beat the Dodgers in the World Series. So the Royals are at the bottom of the list. They are Team 14. They will get their turn. All right, Team 13. Team 13 is the 1950 Philadelphia Phillies. The 1950 Philadelphia Phillies, the Whiz Kids, they were winners of 91 games. And they were defeated by the New York Yankees in 4 straight in the World Series. Next team, team number 12. The 1959 Chicago White Sox, Team 12. Chicago White Sox in 1959 were 94-60. They were the American League pennant winners against, and kind of a, well, I wouldn't say a long shot, but they were the underdog in that pennant race because the Yankees were expected to win again. The White Sox actually did it. This White Sox team exceeded its Pythagorean record by 8 games, which I believe is the biggest among these 14 teams. The White Sox of 1959 are team number 12. The next team in the sequence, the 1974 Los Angeles Dodgers. The 1974 Los Angeles Dodgers were favored in the 1974 World Series. They won 102 games in the regular season. They were a young club. I chose this team over the 1977 version because I think it was better, even though they were less experienced. So the 1974 Dodgers are team number 11. Team number 10. The 1969 Baltimore Orioles. The 1969 Orioles. The 1969 Orioles were also favored in the World Series. And they also lost it in 5 games. in this case to the New York Mets. However, they won 109 games during the regular season and actually underachieved according to their Pythagorean record, which had them winning 110 games. Probably on statistically the best Orioles team ever, certainly better than the 83 team that won the World Series over the Phillies. All right, the 69 Orioles are team number 10. Team number 9. The 1952 New York Yankees. The 1952 New York Yankees won the World Series by coming from behind to defeat the Brooklyn Dodgers. They were down 3-2 going back to Brooklyn for Games 6 and 7. They won them both to win the World Series. This might be the best Yankee team of the 50s, although you could make a case that 53 was better. But what they did, how they won it, was certainly impressive. This is Mickey Mantle just achieving his peak. Casey Stengel, Yogi Berra, and the whole Hee-Haw gang. They won 95 games in the 154-game season. They won 95 games, and they were also right on their Pythagorean projection. It's a great team. So team number 9 is the 52 Yankees. Team number 8. The 1952 Brooklyn Dodgers, which for my money is the best Brooklyn Dodger team, and I'll tell you why. First of all, they were very nearly World Series champions. They were ahead in both Game 6 and Game 7 in 1952, and the Yankees came back to beat them both times. They won 96 games. They lost 57. They had Joe Black at his peak. Don Newcomb was not with the team in this point because he was fighting in Korea, but a lot of these players were at their prime, and I think this team is significantly better than the 55 club, and at least arguably better than the 53 team, considering how good Joe Black was and how important he was to what manager Charlie Dressen was trying to do. So the 52 Dodgers, and Jackie Robinson was certainly at his peak. 52 Dodgers are team number 8. Team number 7 coming up. The 1968 Detroit Tigers is team number 7. The Detroit Tigers, you probably know about. They were behind in the World Series to the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1. They came back and won it. Mickey Lolich won 3 World Series games. They won 103 games in the regular season. With a deep pitching staff, 3 excellent starting pitchers, and a deep bullpen, and a lot of power. For 1968, the team was loaded with big bats. The 1968 Tigers are team number 7. All right, team number 6. 5 to go to the King of the Hill. Team number 6 is the 1975 Cincinnati Reds. The 1975 Reds are, for my money, the best Reds Big Red Machine team. Better than 76 because Johnny Bench was better. And most of the other players were about the same. Geronimo had a better year in 76. Morgan was kind of a wash, although I would say he was a little better in 75. Perez was a wash. Rose was a wash. And they certainly had to fight hard to prove their mettle against the Red Sox in a 75 World Series. That, for my money, is the best one ever. The 75 Reds are team number 6. All right, team number 5. 4 to go to the King of the Hill, to the first King of the Hill. Team number 5 is the 1974 Oakland A's. I chose this team even though they only won 90 games. Because I think they're the best team of the 3 consecutive World Series champions, even though they have the worst record. The team that they beat was the best of the 3, in my opinion, in the Dodgers. They had an excellent year from Catfish Hunter. Their bullpen was not quite as deep, but Lindblad and Fingers were as good as any pair in that 3-year run. And Holtzman and Blue were excellent again in 74 as they were in 73. In addition to that, Joe Rudi was at least as good as he was in 72, in 74. Reggie Jackson was about comparable. Sal Bando was about comparable. Bert Campaneris had his best year of the 3 years, and Bill North was about equal with it. So I selected the 74 A's to represent that A's run of teams. The next team is the 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates. Team 4. Now, the 1960 Pirates won 95 games. They were manhandled in 3 of the 7 World Series games by the Yankees, but they did what it took to win when they had to win. They had a serious 4-man starting rotation that is at least the equal, if not better, than most of the teams in this tournament. And, of course, Roberto Clemente. So they have a lot going for them. Good team defense, very strong team defense as well. So the 60 Pirates are team number 4 in the tournament. Next, team number 3 is the 1980 Philadelphia Phillies. The 1980 Philadelphia Phillies are an interesting club for a few different reasons. They are a team that was dominated by its 3 superstars. Their team performance as a unit was really led by Carlton, Schmidt, and McGraw. Much more so than any other team in this tournament. I want to see what that looks like on the playing field. They won 91 games. Their Pythagorean record was for 91 wins. It's well documented what Dallas Green did to motivate and lead these individuals to victory. The 1980 Phillies are team number 3 in the tournament. All right, 2 teams left. One will be the visiting team on opening day, and the other will be the King of the Hill. So let's see what we got. We'll mix them up and see what we get. Team number 2 is the 1977 Boston Red Sox. I chose this team because I think it's an underrated team. Number one, they were certainly good enough to win their division, finishing only 2 games out in 1977. They had the best relief pitcher in the game at that point, Bill Campbell. And they could mash. They were absolutely a run-scoring machine for the standard of their time. 859 runs scored. Their Pythagorean record put them at not only 94 wins, they overachieved by 3 to win 97 on the season. And they very nearly, as I mentioned, took the American League Eastern Division flag from the Yankees. Now, they're not as highly heralded as the 75 or 78 club, but I bet they'll do well. And that leaves our initial King of the Hill to the surprise entry of the entire tournament, and that is the 1973 New York Mets. 73 Mets are the team that was the National League representative. They won the National League pennant by defeating a highly, highly favored 1973 Cincinnati Reds club in the National League Championship Series. Then they went on and took a highly favored 1973 Oakland team to 7 games before losing in the 7th game and losing the World Series. This team has a lot of names that we all recognize: Willie Mays, Tom Seaver, Tug McGraw, and their manager, of course, Yogi Berra. But I chose the Red Sox as an offensive representative, and I chose the Mets largely on the strength of their pitching staff, but also because they were such overachievers. The Pythagorean record for the Mets was 83 wins. They won 82 in sort of a crazy, very close, very competitive National League East that season. So, the 73 Mets will start out as the King of the Hill for the King of the Hill Chapter 2 tournament. They will host at Shea Stadium the 77 Red Sox on opening day, and there will be no DH. The Red Sox will have to deal with not having a DH, and they're going to face Tom Seaver on opening day. This tournament is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing a lot of games early to try and get you in the groove of how the King of the Hill process works in case you're new to it, and kind of get some games under our belt in the months of July and August, get a good bunch of games going so that we get kind of a running start. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to post these teams on the Universal Baseball Association Facebook page, and I'm also going to list them in the description for the video of this video, as well as the first few, so you can see what the playing sequence will be. So, for example, to come back to this one last time, the winner of the 77 Red Sox at the 73 Mets on opening day will host the 1980 Phillies in Game 2. The winner of that game will then host the 1960 Pirates in Game 3, and so on, and so on, and so on. All right. Thank you for being with me on our introduction to the King of the Hill Tournament Chapter 2 with Fall Classic Baseball. I hope you have a great night. So long, everybody.